That's a vibe. She wanna vibe. That's a vibe.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the High Frequency Club podcast, brought to you by www.rise-workout.com. Back in your life. My name is Marwin Solario.
And I'm Shenae Bierman, and we're touching on personal development, growth, and mindset.
Ba-da-boom, boom.
How's your day?
That was good. It is currently 3:30, is it? Yeah, 3:30.
Yeah.
Which is quite late to our filming.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty good. I find definitely the peak of my energy is around 9 till 1.
Okay, so we're not going to get any energy.
No, you're going to get energy. You're going to get all of me. I'm just saying that, the peak of my energy is around that time. But, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling stable.
Yeah.
I'm just riding the day wave, really.
Yeah.
How's your day?
Yeah, not too bad. A productive one. So,
What'd you get up to?
I had the day off, so I needed to get a few things done. Caught the train out to Sylvia Park. Did some shopping. Yeah, I hadn't been on the train in ages, so it was quite the experience. I did forget to bring my mask. I forgot that even though I knew I was going on the train. And for those of you that aren't in Auckland, our masks are still mandatory on public transport. So, and I usually always have a mask in all my different bags, but I was using a different bag. And so as soon as I got there, I was like, shit, I don't have a mask. But I was like, should be all good. And
did anyone hit you up?
Yeah, it was, I think, like a couple of stations in, then when the security guards get on and they're like, excuse me, miss, like, where's your mask? And I was like, don't have one. He's like, where are you getting off? And I was like, Sylvia Park. And he's like, make sure you get one. And I was like, yep. And then when I was at the shops, I was doing my shopping but thinking, where can I, and I did think I should just buy like a proper material one, so I'm not always just using the disposable ones. And I couldn't seem to find one anywhere in the shops that I'd been in. So I went to like the information centre bit and said to the guy, I said, do you know any shops here that would be selling face masks? And he's, you mean like, and I was like, yeah. And he's like, just for the train. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I'll see if we've got some like spare ones.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
Then I know. And then he went out like back, had to unlock the door, and then he's like, here you go. And I was like, oh my God, thanks so much.
Just give us a spare one.
Yeah.
Where is the shop? Shout them out.
No, this was just, that was just the information centre bit. You know, the little where you go and ask for a certain store. And that's what I did. I was just sort of like, bless. Like he didn't have to go out of his way to do that. He could have just been like, go try Countdown or go try Warehouse.
I'm surprised the train wasn't giving out free disposable ones, because when we went on the ferry, they were just giving them out.
Yeah, ferry does, but the train station wasn't. So, But that was like, I was like, bless that he. And then that was my first lecture of the day, and my second lecture was, as I was getting off the train, I was on my phone, and so I sort of forgot to tag off. And then I had to go back down the stairs and tag off. And the security guard's like, that's because you were on your phone. You weren't paying attention. You weren't looking. And I was like, yeah, man, fair. And he's like, learn from this. Like, this is your lesson now. And I was like, yeah, I know. I get that. And then he went on to tell me an example of a woman one day that he saw that was distracted on her phone and left her baby in the pram and blah, 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 blah. And he just kept going on and on. I was like, I get it. Like, I'm hearing you. So, yeah, I was just like, okay. Off to do my shopping now.
That's nice. So, he dove deep on his job.
Yeah.
I was looking through our stats last night after we dropped episode 16, and man, the amount of countries that have listened to us I was so mind blown. I was actually mind blown.
Give them a shout out to those people that might be.
So there's 10. We have been heard in 16 countries, and the most surprising ones were obviously the ones outside of New Zealand and Australia, but like Indonesia, Ireland, Switzerland, Italy, Finland, Norway, Austria, India, Malaysia. I don't know anyone from that, you know? It's just extremely humbling and like, it's just so cool. And also like, just the day of social media, and there is just information anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
You can hear someone else's opinion on the other side of the world, you know?
But that's what's crazy, is to think people in those countries that might be, I mean, to some degree everyone has experienced similar things with the pandemic and lockdown. But yeah, to think in those countries where, again, things would culturally be quite different and lifestyle would be quite different, to think that someone's listening in to us chat about whatever. But I guess that's where somewhat personal development is applicable to anyone and everyone, really, wherever you are. So
but that just, I was like, whoa, shit. I had to send it to you.
Yeah.
Speaking of information is everywhere, what what content have you been consuming lately for your own personal development?
Well, thanks to the little lockdown we had last week, I was able to get back on my podcast bandwagon. I had been a bit slack with listening to podcasts lately. The main one, which I did share on our High Frequency Club page on Instagram, was one of Rich Roll's podcasts with a physician and neuroscientist by the name of Judd Brewer. I had his first book, he's just come out with a second book. And so he specialises a lot in habit change and addiction, I guess. And so his latest book and this podcast was all on unwinding anxiety. And so he sort of talks about how it's almost similar, he finds, in the way that he would treat people with addiction, and that it's all about sort of mapping out your habit loops, first of all. So trigger, behaviour, reward.
Yeah.
And then from there, asking yourself, like, what is that reward? And, you know, what is it worth it? Does it feel good, or what does it give you? And then just being really paying attention to those habits when you're in the moment, and being more curious in regards to working on them. So there's quite a lot of takeouts and really good examples as well.
What would an example be? Let's say someone's got a habit of picking up, not that necessarily a bad thing, but it's a bad thing because it's against their goals of, let's say, being healthier. So their habit is that they always eat 3 or so muffins at the staff room, because it's just there for free.
Yeah.
Like, what's his take? What did your takeaway to break a habit like that?
That it would be, I guess, working out what the lead up into why you're wanting to eat like 3 muffins type thing that are there. So sort of working out what that trigger is, because the behaviour then is obviously eating the muffins. And then... Is the trigger not seeing the muffin? Is that not the trigger? Could be, I guess.
Yeah.
The trigger is usually some sort of feeling or urge. That's
Yeah.
like, boom, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, so there'd be some sort of trigger there as to why you're just sort of like, oh my God, muffins, I'm going to eat 3, whether that's stress or something else. And then aside from the initial like kick of sugar that you would get, that would be good, but then looking sort of long-term what that reward is and what that feels like, and realising that it's probably not in alignment with your goals. And then being more, I guess, curious or aware next time that happens, like next time you feel that trigger coming on of like, oh my God, yum, free food, like sort of catching yourself out on that. Which, like you said, a lot of these things some of them are quite primitive and hardwired. Like you said, something like cake, for example, like you said, because we always have it on special occasions and at birthdays and weddings and whatnot, he said that teaches our brain that it's like a special thing, and therefore when we see cake straight away, we're like, boom, cake, you want cake. And so it's got that positive prediction value, and that we know it's good, it tastes good, it's rewarding. So that's where, like you said, sometimes they can be hard to break, but that it is possible to rewire those parts of the brain.
I find 2 ways to break a habit is, 1, make it invisible, don't have it at all. But if it's in the context of the muffin is in the staff room and you have to go eat your lunch in the staff room, instead of eating it outside and being an unsociable bastard at work, so that means you have to go, you can't make it invisible, it's always going to be there, and you can't tell everyone else no muffins allowed. Who the fuck are you saying that, right? So the next thing is to make it hard, create more friction between you and the response, because the trigger when you see a muffin, for example, is, like you said, it could be to feel good about myself, for the comfort, right? That's the urge. I want to change my internal state. That's a trigger. I'm triggered to feel good, or to feel comforted by eating this muffin. The response to that is eating the muffin, and the reward is I feel good. But is it really though? Is the reward really I feel good, or do I feel shit now because I've gone against what I wanted to stand for? You know, a lot of times, including myself, we don't see past the trigger. We just want the trigger and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, going back, to make it hard, to create more friction between the trigger and the response. So for example, you see the muffin, you want to eat the muffin, but you've made a rule that in order for you to eat that muffin, you have to yell something out loud. Maybe the yell is, I'm out here to eat a muffin, yeah! Most people aren't going to want to do that in the staff room, you know? But you made a rule to yourself.
Or tell yourself if you're going to eat it, you're going to have to like have it with, like, eat it with cutlery or something.
Or say, hey guys, I'm about to eat this muffin even though I don't want to. Right?
Yeah.
You make a real standard rule that if you're going to eat it, make sure you say the thing, you know, there's a punishment towards it in a way.
Yeah.
Create more friction. All of a sudden you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
The only thing I think with all that kind of thing is that that does then make it quite situational dependent, in that's where it can be, people can be okay in their own environment. So example, as long as when you do your food shopping, you're not buying like so-called bad treats, etc. Therefore, then it's invisible. You don't have bad food in your house when you're wanting to eat crap or whatever. But that's where then it is hard again if you're in a social situation where, like you said, you can't exactly tell people, oh, like, no chocolate, no this, no that. And those little rules, I think, in the moment where if that urge is so strong, I think you'd almost just be like, fuck it, I'm going to eat the muffin. That's where I think the being curious and being like, why am I feeling so strong, like such a strong urge to want to eat this muffin right now, and make you sort of really sit into that feeling and think it through versus... Yeah, I think otherwise all those things could, personally I'd think I would just be like, fuck it, I want to eat the muffin type thing.
Yeah, and I get that. So. And I find that the same with whether it's a muffin or a beer or, you know, going out to eat for the 3rd time in a row today. You know, it's just like, oh, what's one meal? Oh, what's another one? Oh, what's one more beer?
Yeah.
But it's like when I observe myself in that situation, I am not seeing the lag measure, you know, because it all adds up. $15 here, $15 here, $15 here. At the time, I'm just seeing $15, but at the end of the day, that's now 45.
Yeah.
5 times that by 5 days.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's not good.
I think that's the other thing that he said is so important is people have this idea of thinking they can always like outthink a bad behaviour, in that they do that first step of mapping out what their bad behaviours or bad habits are, and once they're like, oh yeah, I do that, therefore I just need to stop doing that, and they think once they're mindful of it, boom, they can just stop doing it, like stop being anxious or stop overeating or stop whatever. But he said it's not, you've got to rewire that reward system in the brain. So like he said, if you've always associated a good reward with something, it needs to become a bad reward, and in order for a good habit to come into play, there needs to be a positive outcome for that in order for that change to happen. Otherwise, he said, you can't just outthink something or think, I'm just going to stop doing that now.
Yeah.
I'm aware that this is my bad habit, I'm just going to stop it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
you can't outthink. Outthink is almost saying that I've got willpower.
And like he said that the evidence these days is quite strong that there's really no such thing as willpower, that they're learning more and more that it's, he said if at best, he said it will come and go throughout the day, but he said at worst, so they're thinking it's pretty much not a thing.
Willpower is almost, you're just postponing the inevitable. You're just pushing it back because ultimately you're going to do it anyway. There's only so much that you can resist, but it's going to end up happening. Yeah, I think the reverse to, if you're trying to break a bad habit, like I said before, was to make it invisible or make it hard, create more friction between. The reverse to that, to create a good habit, for lack of a better word, good, something more effective for the goal that you want, is to make it visible, and make it attractive to do. So let's say you want to read, I don't know, 2 books a month. Make it visible by making sure it's on your bedside or in your toilet when you're about to take a shit. Read it there, because what else are you doing in the toilet anyway? You're on your phone, aren't you? You're reading anyway. So that's like another way to habit stack. You're taking a shit, instead of reading your phone, read a book. You know, so that's making it visible, and to make it easy, again, habit stack. You know, or make it easy by finding a friend who is also into books. Who is going to want to talk about that. It makes it easy for you. It's like, I want to be able to provide the conversation and be in an environment that promotes me reading a book. You know? It's almost like you're creating these new systems. That is just, it's like a slipstream towards your desired outcome. It takes strategy, and it is creating a strategy to break or create a good or bad habit is easy. It's doing it that's hard. And I think a lot of people set their expectations up so fucking high. And I see it all the time when I have new clients. They have this big audacious goal, right? And they think that now because they're investing the money and because they're seeing someone, they're going to get there from the start. And that's not the case. Like all of a sudden they have this expectation, maybe they're just naive and unaware about it, that they think that, yeah, it's going to be a straight road from here.
Yeah.
Old habits die hard,
Yeah.
you know? And the big thing that I promote with my clients is that, look, you don't need to be perfect all the time. You just have to be perfect a majority of the time.
Or be consistent at least. Be consistent
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. There's 7 days in a week, and you know, some of them are like, oh, I want to come in every single day. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just try 3.
Yeah.
You know, if anything above that is going to be fucking great.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, if you've gone from 0 workouts a week and all of a sudden you think you're going to come every single day and you only do 5, you're going to think you're a failure.
Yeah. I was chatting to one of the other PTs, I think yesterday about this, about, like he said, certain members and clients having that real all or none mentality, and he said it's almost heightened or more noticeable during these periods when we have lockdown, of people that just, they either have that attitude of like, oh fuck it, I can't go to the gym, might as well just do nothing for the week, write the week off, and then when they want to get back into it, it's like boom, got to go hard, got to go twice a day to make up for that. Versus, like you said, just sort of having that balance and being like, yep, cool, I didn't do anything today, that's fine, tomorrow I'll go for a walk, like, and just like you said, it seems that it's a lot more mental than anything else. And I was like, that's definitely what I feel with a lot of people.
Yeah, what's extremely powerful for my process and my clients' success is, let's say someone says their goal is to lose 5 kgs. And I'm like, cool, is that the goal? What the most important thing that I like to make them focus on is what type of behaviors are going to let you achieve that goal. It's someone that's going to be consistent. It's someone that's going to be a positive thinker. It's someone that's going to, you know, create systems, you know, so consistent, those are the behaviors in order for you to reach that goal. And I just say every single time you're faced with a decision, show up for those behavior traits. Someone who's positive, someone who's consistent. So if you do go into the staff room and you see a muffin, does eating this muffin make me show up as someone who is positive and consistent towards my goal of I want to lose 5 kgs? It's yes or no. It's yes or no. Automatically, boom, you get the instant gratification by showing up. You know, because it's another thing why people don't achieve their goals, is because it's so fucking far away.
Do you go through with your clients, or is it something that's taught in PT training, the SMART acronym? Goals? That's what I think we learned that in high school or something, but that's always just something I go back to with goal setting or thinking about goals. But I think a lot of people...
For the people that don't know SMART, can you explain what that is?
It has to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and timely. So specific to... I think, we learned this in the context of sporting goals. So like, again, specific to someone's sport, but again, this can be specific to whatever anyone wants to. I think sometimes people can be quite vague with goals, which then makes it hard. Measurable, in that you're going to be able to measure and track your progress along the way. Otherwise, how do you know that you're heading in the right direction or getting close to achieving that goal? Achievable, that it's definitely a yes, I can do this, not like, oh yeah, I'm going to climb Mount Everest like next year, you know. And realistic as well, that it's, I guess that falls similar category to being achievable, and timely, that there is kind of a, okay, 6 months I'm working on this, or a year. And if it is a year, then it might be that, at the 3-month mark, I need to have done this. At the 6-month mark, this needs to have been done. At the 9-month mark, blah, 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 in order to, at the 12-month mark, this be done, type thing. So I think often for a lot of people, it's that specificity. They're not really clear on what their goal is. And then, being able to measure it and have time sort of check-ins. Because I think often goals are achievable. Example, if it's weight loss, but it's just all those other things that aren't really. But I think going back to like what Joe said in last week's episode about having sort of a purpose or a reason that's bigger than yourself versus like aesthetic
100%.
goals. But like he said, there'll be days that if your focus is weight loss, but you'll wake up one day and you're just thinking, oh fuck it, like one run today is not gonna make a big difference. But it's like if that then attitude carries on, then that's where, versus having a reason to keep you focused each day of being like, no, if I get to the gym today, I know I'm going to feel better for it. I'm going to be more productive at work, or like it's going to give me more clarity to get my work done this afternoon, and I'm going to be a better parent or a better colleague.
Yeah, that's. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the other thing that I find often stumps new clients in consultations is when they say, I want to lose 5 kgs, and I ask, okay, why do you want to do that? You know, and they're like, just so I can feel good. And I'm like, okay, what do you want to feel good for? Because that's what healthy is. I'm like, yeah, okay, but healthy for what? Like healthy for who? Like what do you want to optimize your health for? Like, is it so you can, you know, go to your kids and after an 8 to 10 hour day at work, you still have the vitality to spend time with them and create a meaningful relationship, you know? Is it so you feel confident when you go out on the weekend? Like, what is it for? What is it for? Do you want that new promotion? Are you an entrepreneur that wants to be super productive in your waking day and you want that, you know, stable energy? What is it for? And a lot of people, don't have that clarity. And I guess that's why we get hired as coaches. You know, that's, you're meant to give them that clarity. But once you have that bigger purpose, and you ask yourself, what behavior traits will help me get closer to that bigger purpose of consistency, happy, healthy, reliable, that is just a surefire system, as long as you're aware of it, to get you to your goals. And it doesn't matter how long it takes, you know, but it will definitely take a shorter amount of time than not being clear on those things.
Which sometimes it is, it's just that talking it out, having someone as a soundboard to help you clarify those things, which, again, going back to last week's episode, as you guys touched on, the benefits of list writing, if you don't have someone to soundboard with, using a pen and paper to get it out can also help with that clarity. And even just saying all of this out loud, like right now I just had a huge sense of how important it is for a coach to be able to communicate these systems and steps, you know? Because, man, including myself, there are a lot of people that know what they have to do. For example, eat better, move more, but don't do it. And the reason why they don't do it is, one, they don't have the knowledge or the structure. They don't know how to get there. It's not specifics. They don't know the specifics to get there. Or two, there's no one there encouraging them. You know? They don't believe they can do it. So like a coach has to be able to step into that, give structure, give systems, and encourage them and tell them that it's okay when they fall into that non-majority of the time where they're not, you know, reaching those targets. That it's okay, you can pick yourself up and onwards and upwards from here. Jad Brewer touched on in that podcast that it's not just in regards to habit change, not just awareness, but awareness in combination with having a basic understanding of how the brain works. He said particularly in regards to your reward systems. And I think, if people had that understanding of why they have certain bad habits and why it's hard for them to break them and blah, 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 especially in regards to a big lifestyle change like trying to get into the gym or eat better, I think if people not only had that awareness, but then had that understanding of how their brain works and therefore what they need to do in order to help rewire it so that they're more inclined to go for the banana versus the muffin, things like that, it would just give people a bigger sense of autonomy and control over their, versus feeling, I'm a failure because like I've, you know, had the muffin again instead of this, and I've let my PT down or whatnot, versus realising that they're always in control of those decisions and therefore the outcomes. So so maybe that should be something. Actually, again, this PT that I was having the chat to the other day actually said that. It was like, I wonder if the gyms have ever thought about getting like psychologists on board, because he said like that's as important as everything else, is all the physical. If people have their mindset right and have that good understanding, he said this is just...
I 100% agree. It is like when I first got into personal training, I was I thought I was a bodybuilder after the show, but I just wanted to train bodybuilders, and quickly I realized that these are just general population people that just want to get A to B, you know, and then as I gained more experience and helped more and more people, I started to realize that the foundations of movement work. That's easy. What's hard is communicating it to 100 different types of people.
Yeah.
That is the most difficult part. Communicating mindset, cultivating empathy for different people in their situation. That everyone is different, their metrics of success is different based on their own memories and their own experiences, and that's one thing you don't learn at personal training school.
I think same with us with physio. There's such a big focus on that nowadays for us as well, the way we communicate things in the language we use around our patients, and yet that's something that I think we do one unit in our final year on professional communication and how to talk to patients and how to go through and explain things in layman's terms so people don't get caught up in the technicality. But yeah, it's definitely something that I think we should have way more focus on.
I agree. It's almost like the reason why personal training and physiotherapists and coaches came into the industry is because for the people. But all of a sudden, it's like we've forgotten the core of it, which is the people, and spent so much time on the information.
Yeah, and the technical stuff.
And absolutely strayed away from the main core and what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
That's why I see in personal training these days is this age of over specialization. There's a lot of personal trainers doing heaps of these different types of courses, dabbling in each one, becoming about being a master of none of them.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, that's all fine and dandy that you spend 200k a year or whatever the fucking amount is, 200k a year on courses, but if you can't explain it to anyone, it's of no use. You're ineffective. You're just doing it for clout. You're just doing it to wave a little title around that you've got this certificate in this, but you can't even help anyone with it because you don't know how to communicate with people. You know, now if I've got a huge list of qualifications, all of a sudden you think you're the better personal trainer. I would challenge that, because if you can't explain it to me, you can't explain it to Sally or Corey or blah 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 blah. You're just someone who's just accumulated a lot of knowledge and regurgitated it because you can't actually practice it because you don't know how. So we also live in the age of over specialization. For what? For what?
Yeah, definitely, and that's the same in the physio world. I find some of the, not all, but there's some. Where some physios can be using all the fancy terminology and words, and a patient will be thinking, oh my gosh, this physio must be the best of the best because he knows so much and blah, blah, blah. But so often it's, I think, sometimes covering up a lack of understanding. And so often just because they know more of the technicalities, they might be missing the bigger picture. And often they are missing the bigger picture. So that's why I definitely wouldn't be... if you're physio, if anyone listening, if your physio is using big technical words like, oh, your SIJ is rotated by 10 degrees and you've got a leg length discrepancy of like a 1.5 centimetres and blah, 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 find a new physio.
I sometimes hear that with personal trainers too. Your blah, 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 your technical blooded tibia rotators. And, bro, Corey, the CEO, has got many other fucking things in his mind. His kids, his wife. The fact that he doesn't spend much time at home, the staff that he's got to deal with, the fires that he's got to put out, he doesn't give a fuck about it.
And it's almost like additional stress. Like if if he's already at work and he's already under a lot of stress at work and family situation, cortisol levels are already high, and then he's coming to that session and it's like, dude, you got to like anterior tilt, like brace through here, make sure you're doing this, push your knees out, like ground through here, da da da. He's just going to be like, oh my God, so much to think about, overwhelming. You're going to finish that gym session, and yes, physically you'd feel good, but your brain hasn't really had a chance to sort of switch off over that hour, and then it's back to work where it's again high stress. Versus just being able to be like, push, pull, keep going, da da da.
And don't get me wrong, there has to be a level of education for sure. Because it motivates people to know what they're doing, why they're doing it, and what's it going to do for them in the future, as well as what's going to do now. That's important. But there is that line where, why are you saying the things for your client, or are you just doing it for clout? Are you just doing it to show off? Are you just doing it to prove a point? Because it's no longer about the client anymore, it's about you. You know? And I think that's pretty easy to spot if
Yeah.
you're self-aware enough.
Yeah.
It's definitely easy to spot when I'm hearing it,
Yeah, yeah, hard.
when I'm observing it,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I've had colleagues that I'm like, especially if we've got quite thin, not soundproof walls, and I've been like, really? You're spinning that? And
normal
I
time-
feel like just being like, dude, shut up. But I just
The everyday person doesn't give a fuck. They've got their own
Yeah,
problems.
yeah.
They're coming to you with a problem already.
Yeah.
They don't
And
want
if anything, sometimes it can overcomplicate, again, particularly exercise or the diagnosis for the patient. It's by using so many technical words, it's overcomplicating it and making it seem harder than it is. Like,
Yeah.
it's making a deadlift seem almost near on impossible. When a deadlift's a deadlift, you pick the bar up, you put the bar down.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty straightforward. Yes, you want the basics correct, but I think by being like, oh, do this, do that, they're going to be getting overwhelmed and thinking, oh my God, I just can't get this right and I'm a failure and Versus like, hey, you're doing well, just try and lift your chest up a little bit more. Like, keep
Yeah.
it simple versus like, retract through your scapula and make sure you're doing this and like, lengthen through your cervical and make sure that you're not rotated through your thoracic and blah, blah, blah.
What's also, I think, hasn't helped in this age of information is that there's like someone's taken one subject, for example, nutrition, and then created like hundreds of different sub-subjects in it. Now it's all blown the fuck up and everything is so much more complicated than what it is. Or it's made out to be more complicated than what it is.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, that's it. There's just a lot of information out there, and you can understand how people get sort of caught up in that vortex of info, and it's like, oh my God, who do I listen to? What do I do? How do I know? But
It ends up disabling.
to the point
oh,
that you stick to what you know. You just think, oh well, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, and that's what I think another thing that makes people quite stagnant or feel stuck. Because I do think, oh yeah, I'm going to look into this, but then it just gets overwhelming. They think, oh well, screw, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Like this certain diet sounds too hard, or oh, keto, I have to do this, and if I'm vegan, I have to do this, and versus just like, implementing small changes over a period of time.
Yeah.
Versus again that all or nothing mindset where they think, oh gosh, if I go vegan overnight, I'm going to have to do this, this, and this. Versus just like for the next week, I'm going to try and switch my milk to almond milk, and that just be your first step.
Yeah.
And then be like, next week I'm going to try and cut back on red meat. Following week I'm going to try and cut back on chicken. Like just one thing at a time. Versus, I think, and people have that, like you said, same with exercise. Instead of just being like, okay, I'm going to start trying to walk every second day and I'm going to try and gym 3 times a week. It's like, boom, I'm into the gym, 7 days a week, let's do this, go hard, go home. And then people, again, usually burn out, fall off the bandwagon.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree with you. And I've experienced that for my own journey as well as coaching other clients.
Yeah.
So what are some takeouts would you give to people to wrap it all up on,
I think there's
breaking the habit?
the key component really of the process of, I guess, unwinding anxiety and also trying to change habits is just learning to be curious. I think in the moment when you feel a particular urge come on, is just sort of sitting with it and thinking, this is interesting, why am I feeling like this? And sort of cultivating that awareness within yourself to try and therefore change that behaviour, change the outcome. And then tapping into like, what is this doing for me? Is it actually as rewarding as I think? Would be my biggest takeouts. Yeah,
for me, if you're trying to, for example, break a bad habit, is to make it invisible. And if you can't make it invisible, again, use the example as checking social media too often, opening up the Instagram account. You can't make it invisible, maybe putting it on the full screen, creating a lot of friction between you and Instagram. So if you're just about to go on Instagram, you have to do 10 star jumps no matter where you are. And no matter where you are at the time of day, you do 5 star jumps. And if I'm in the middle of the mall, I don't want to check Instagram, because if I have to do 5 star jumps, I look like
I wouldn't
a
be.
fucking weirdo.
That's why I just think I wouldn't be strong. I would literally just be like, fuck it, I'm not doing my star jumps. I want to check my gram. Versus being like, why do I feel this strong urge right now to check my gram? Do I need to check it? And go through my mindset as to why I'm feeling that way.
Yeah.
But anyway. Different strokes for different folks.
For sure. So, and another takeout for me is that if you're setting a goal, for example, it's that I want to run a marathon, and set the goal, but focus more so on the behaviours it takes to to
Achieving
achieve that goal.
Yeah.
And that means someone who is active, someone who is fit, someone who is consistent, someone who is reliable to themselves, who upholds their integrity.
Yeah.
Behaviors and identity focus more so on that, and take it day by day.
Yeah.
Take it day by day. Don't think about the marathon, just take about the decisions you can make right then and there.
Be smart with your goals.
Get that instant gratification on a day-to-day basis. Awesome.
Hard. Cool. That's us. We'd like to thank our sponsors today, Huffer. Jokes. We wish Huffer, if you're listening,
send us some more goodies. Thank you very
send
much.
us some more shirts.
Thank you for the shirts.
Don't forget to check us out. Follow along if you're not already at the High Frequency Club on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Subscribe on all of it, so you're always in tune.
See us next week.
Peace.
Peace.
That's a vibe. She wanna vibe. That's a vibe.